How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I am going to be ranking all 10 Dexter seasons from the worst to the best. With the conclusion of Dexter Original Sin Season 1, I thought this would be a good time to make this video. Also, we have Dexter Resurrection coming out later this year, so that should be a lot of fun. But before we get into the actual ranking, I just want to preface this with the fact that I am a new Dexter fan. I just started watching the show back in like mid-December, binged the hell out of it, caught up on all the spin-offs, and now I can finally give my thoughts and opinions on the show. And first and foremost, I love this series. It's easily become one of my favorite shows I've ever seen. It's not like, I don't think like top of my list, but it's probably in my top 10 overall. But yeah, it's a good show. And it's got some great stuff in it, but it's also got some bad stuff in it, let's be real. So yeah, I thought we would take a deep dive into the Dexterverse, if you will, and talk about it. So starting off, at number 10, my least favorite Dexter season is still Season 8. And it sucks because it actually starts off okay this season. Like, I really enjoyed all the stuff with Deb and, her feeling so guilty for killing LaGuerta at the end of Season 7. She's completely broken. She's lost. We see a whole new, different side of Deb in this season. But then Dr. Vogel's like, no, you just have PTSD. I'm going to help you. And then Deb and Dexter are friends again. And then, of course, you have the reintroduction of Hannah McKay. And Hannah is easily my least favorite character in the whole show. I'm sure many people can relate. I just never bought into Dexter and Hannah's relationship. Incredibly forced. I kind of get what they were going for, but it just is not properly executed. And the final episode of this season is just awful. What a terrible way to end the series. I know a lot of people have said that. It's one of the worst series finales. I mean, not anymore because, of course, we have Game of Thrones. But it's a bad way to end the show. There's just no resolution. No one finds out Dexter's the Bay Harbor Butcher. He fakes his death, becomes a lumberjack, yada, yada, yada. Deb's death is handled so poorly, and it's just so odd. That final episode really just felt like a fever dream. So freaking weird. And this season's just not well executed. It's also very rushed, I would say. Oliver Saxon, again, very underdeveloped villain, I would say. He could have been a good addition to the season, but he's just not given enough time and not developed enough as a character to be that interesting. And it's just a dumb twist where he's like, surprise, I'm actually Dr. Vogel's long-lost son who isn't dead, and I've been alive this whole time. And it's just a weird twist, and it's dumb. And honestly, the Dr. Vogel character in general is a little weird. I don't know exactly how I feel about her because they kind of retcon the fact that Harry was the one to come up with the code. Like, obviously, yes, Harry had involvement with making the code, but Dr. Vogel was like, the man behind the curtain, so to speak. And it's just kind of stupid a little bit. But yeah, it sucks because there is some good moments in this season, but in general, it's got to be the worst. It's got to be my least favorite. Anyway, coming in at number 9, I have Season 6. And Season 6 and Season 8 are pretty close in terms of quality, if I'm being honest. But at least Season 6 isn't the conclusion of the show. So it's just, another installment. And it has a very good cliffhanger, I must say. But that's just a brief moment in the finale. Overall, the main plot of Season 6 is just not strong whatsoever. The Doomsday Killers, they weren't interesting to me. The strong religious focus that the season has got very repetitive after a while. It's like, yeah, how many times is the show going to tell us Dexter's an atheist? We get it, brother. Speaking of brothers, we got Brother Sam. He's a nice addition in this season, but he's only in like a few episodes, so it doesn't even matter, honestly, but he was one of the highlights, I guess, of the season. Kind of liked his character. He seemed pretty chill. Wish they did more with him, but they don't. You also have the Deb and Dexter romance kind of thing going on towards the end of the season, where Deb realizes she actually is in love with Dexter. What? Yeah, a little odd. Considering Jennifer Carpenter and Michael C. Hall were actually married and divorced, and then they had to do this, and it's just like, what are we doing? I don't know. And then there's a dumb twist, of course, where Geller's actually been dead the whole time. It's basically Fight Club 2.0, except way worse. And it's like, what are we doing? This is silly. And also, this season has one of my least favorite episodes in the whole show, Nebraska. And I'm sure there's a good chunk of people that actually enjoy that episode because obviously we got the return of Brian Moser, and he's a great character, but obviously it was, just a hallucination from Dexter. But that episode was weird. That whole episode felt very odd to me. It felt like complete filler, felt pointless, felt just weird overall. I just did not like that episode, and this season's just not that strong. Yeah, it's got to be here towards the bottom of the list for sure. But coming in at number 8, I have season 5. And straight up, we're already at the point in my ranking where it gets kind of difficult. I don't think season 5 is a bad season. The only truly bad seasons of Dexter, I think, are season 6 and 8. But season 5 is just mid. It's middle of the road. It doesn't do anything extraordinary. The first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't great. I think the first episode is really solid, though, where, of course, you have, like, the immediate aftermath of Rita's death, and Dexter's trying to process everything, and then you have the great scene of him wearing the Mickey ears while telling Cody and Astor that their mom's dead. Very darkly comedic scene. But then the main plot kind of kicks in with the Lumen character, and obviously she wants to get revenge on the men who tortured her and whatnot, and Dexter wants to help her with that. And their relationship that forms throughout the course of the season is decent. You know, I didn't love their relationship, but it was okay. It's definitely Lumen and Dexter's relationship was definitely better than Dexter and Hannah's relationship. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, the whole season is just okay. Jordan Chase, he was a okay villain, but he wasn't amazing. He's no Trinity Killer. He's no Brian Moser. He was fine. He was interesting enough. There is a good subplot with Quinn trying to get dirt on Dexter. Basically, he's trying to investigate him. He thinks Dexter actually had something to do with Rita's death, so he hires a PI, Liddy, who I liked Stan Liddy quite a bit. I wish they did more with him, but unfortunately this plot line doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, Quinn basically just shuts up about the whole thing. Quinn basically knew Dexter's secret. I know a lot of people say this, but it's true. Quinn pretty much knew Dexter was up to no good. He literally saw photos of Dexter and Lumen throwing bags into the ocean. Of course, he didn't know that there were body parts in there necessarily, but he knew he was up to something, so he just keeps his mouth shut. And, I think that makes Quinn kind of an interesting character, though. But again, I wish they did more with that, because it's like, oh, nope, psych. Liddy's just going to be killed off, and nothing's going to happen to Dexter. And it's like, really? Then what was this whole storyline for then? I don't know. Wish they did more with that. Wish they did more with the season as a whole. But it wasn't bad. Like, I don't want to say this was a bad season, even though it is ranked pretty low. But it just comes down to the fact that I like these other seasons a bit more than this one. Anyways, moving on to number 7, I have Dexter New Blood. And I'll be honest with you, the first time I saw this, I was like, wow, that was actually really great. But upon further analysis, after I've thought about it some more, now that it's been a few weeks since I've actually seen the season, it has some problems. It's got a lot of problems, actually. And you can definitely tell this was supposed to be like the unofficial season 9, the unofficial conclusion of the show. But now we're getting Dexter Resurrection. And of course, I am excited for Dexter Resurrection. However, isn't it kind of goofy that, Dexter obviously gets shot in the chest at the end of this season, and he's still alive? Like, yeah, I guess it didn't pierce his heart, maybe. But he was like bleeding there for a while, it looked like, and nope, he's alive. And it's like, okay. I'm glad he's alive, because I don't know if it was that good of an ending. It could have been a good ending. Reintroducing Harrison coming back. I thought that was interesting. However, I got some problems with Harrison as a character. First of all, I don't even know if the actor was the right choice to play Harrison. Or maybe it was the writing. I don't know. But I think maybe the actor was miscast in the role. I found him to be a little annoying at times. Also, they have Harrison literally remember the night his mom died. Folks, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all. I don't want to come off as like a pretentious asshole or anything. But take any psychology class, and you'll know that it's pretty much impossible for anyone to remember anything until they're roughly 3 years of age. And the writers knew this. Like, how old was Dexter when he watched his mom get killed in the shipping container? Oh, that's right, 3 years old. The writers knew this. But then they're like, no, Harrison remembers though. Also, there's a scene in season 5 where the child psychiatrist is like, Harrison's not going to remember anything about this night. But then he somehow does. He remembers literally the Trinity Killer talking to him in the bathroom when he was a baby. He wasn't even a year old yet. What? That's weird. Also, the ending of the season is just kind of rushed, where I do like that they have Dexter kill an innocent with Logan. I thought that was a really good scene. And Harrison killing Dexter could have worked. I just don't think they built it up enough. Yeah, I like when they was flashing to all the dead characters though right before Dexter was shot. I thought that was a good touch. And they also heavily tease a reunion between Dexter and Angel, and that never happens. Of course, we're bound to get that in Dexter Resurrection, a reunion between Angel and Dexter. But it's like, why not just do that in this show? Like, if this was supposed to be the ending, like this definitely was intended to be the ending, and then they're like, no, psych, we're doing another season. It's like, okay, whatever. What else did I like about the season though? Because I said a lot of negatives. Well, I do like Clancy Brown as Kurt Caldwell, the runaway killer. I thought he was creepy. I thought he was very intense, and I thought he was a solid villain overall. I did like him. Also, when they found like the taxidermied women in his like bunker, oh my word, that was dark and very spooky. And I like the setting of, Iron Lake, New York, which I do believe is a fictitious town. I don't think Iron Lake's a real town, but I do like the setting of, with the snow, because Miami was a very warm setting. So that's a nice touch as well. I also liked Deb kind of being Dexter's dark passenger, where Dexter's now like hallucinating her like he was with Harry. I thought that was a nice touch, but there's just some problems with the season in general. It's not bad. Again, I do like certain aspects of the season, but yeah, overall, I think it's at number 7. Decent enough placement for it. At number 6, I have the newest installment of the Dexterverse, Dexter Original Sin Season 1. And I say Season 1 because I believe they intend on making multiple seasons of the show. I read that somewhere. I think Discussing Film, the Twitter account said that. And they're a reliable source. So, and I believe they also intend on making multiple seasons of Resurrection. So that'll be interesting. But overall, I liked Original Sin. I did. I want to rank it a bit higher, but I just can't. Mainly because, and this might sound like a dumb reason, but obviously you can't have Michael C. Hall, who's in his 50s, play a 20-year-old Dexter, so they have to recast everyone. And the casting is on point. Like, Patrick Gibson as Dexter's solid. The actress who plays LaGuerta was very, very good. And, Angel, the guy who plays him was solid too. The guy who plays Masuka, I don't know their names off the top of my head, but, like, the casting is really good, but oh man, it's one of those. It kind of reminds me of the Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos prequel movie they made a few years ago. It reminds me because they had to recast everyone because obviously they're younger versions of the character. And I don't know, it was something that I had to overcome a little bit throughout the course of watching the season. But it is a good season. It was interesting. I like that they revealed new information to us. I like that they revealed that Harry actually had a son prior to Dexter. Like, that was interesting. We also got the, reintroduction, I guess, of Brian, and they really flesh out his character towards the end of the season. You really understand him a lot more. You kind of already understand him in season 1 of Dexter, but I really loved what they did with him in this season, I must say. And you also have Captain Spencer, played by Patrick Dempsey, who was a solid antagonist, very messed up. Patrick Dempsey did a really killer job, no pun intended. Really liked him in this show. And again, I think everyone did a solid job. Christian Slater as Harry was solid. But yeah, like, it's just one of those things where when everyone is recast, it takes a second to adjust to it. And again, I like the seasons above this season more. So that's why it's ranked at number 6. I don't really have that many issues with it apart from the recasts. But yeah, like, it was okay, actually. It was. And I debated watching this show, straight up. I debated watching it, but I'm glad I ended up checking it out. Anyways, entering the top 5. I'm surprised this season made it this high, but whatever. At number 5, I have season 7. And season 7 has some high highs and some low lows. But the high highs really is what did it for me. I mean, you have essentially what the series was building up to the entire time. Obviously, the cliffhanger coming off of season 6, where Deb sees Dexter kill Travis in the church, and she's like, what the hell's going on? And of course, she comes to the revelation that Dexter is a serial killer, and those first few episodes of season 7 are terrific. I mean, truly terrific. I was just glued to my screen the entire time. I was so captivated. I was so glad that Deb was finally finding out, because again, this is what the whole show had been building up to, this moment. And honestly, I think season 7, if they had rewritten it, it should have been the final season, because what they did in season 8 obviously wasn't that good. But the reason why season 7 isn't even higher than this is because there are a few weak episodes. Obviously, this is the introduction of Hannah, who I don't like her character, and there's some bad episodes in the middle portion of the season. But the season does pick back up again in the finale. I know Entertain the Elk. He is a YouTuber who does video essays. He did a whole video talking about how that episode was the day Dexter died. But I really love that episode. I love the season 7 finale. I love when Deb kills LaGuerta. I was like so shocked. Did not see that coming. Again, if that was like, an episode or two before the finale of the show, like I think LaGuerta should have kind of been, this might be a dumb comparison, but like Hank's death in Breaking Bad, that should have been LaGuerta's death. Like there should have only been like maybe 2 or 3 episodes after that episode to wrap up. I mean, I don't even know if you would definitely have to rewrite certain things, but the fact that there's a whole other season after LaGuerta's death and no one suspects Dexter or Deb, even though they were missing from the party, they're like, is that not odd? Like, it's just weird. But again, I still like that. I stand by it. I still love that episode. Also this season, Isaac Sirko, the GOAT. I loved his character. Such a shame they killed him off too early, because I don't remember the exact reason, but there was something behind the scenes, maybe in like his contract, where they had to kill him off early or something. Like, maybe I made that up. Let me know down in the comments. But I loved Isaac's character. I thought he was fantastic. I always thought it made sense for Dexter to get involved with someone like that. Like one day Dexter's going to kill the wrong person. Not the wrong person, so to speak, but like he's going to get involved in like organized crime. And he does, because obviously Isaac Sirko was involved with all that, and the Brotherhood and whatever. And I really liked that. Isaac kind of reminded me of like a Gus Fring type of character, and that's why I really liked him. I love the scene where Dexter's about to enter his apartment, notices the blinds are slightly open, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going in there. And then it immediately cuts to Isaac just sitting in his apartment with all of his weapons laid out on the ground. Like, that was just so amazing. I love that scene. Season 7, again, some really great moments, some really weak moments with mainly Hannah. All the stuff with Hannah and Dexter, that relationship is just so forced. I never once bought into it. I'm sorry. I'm sure some people can agree with me, but yeah, let me know if you like Hannah. I don't like Hannah whatsoever. Anyway, moving on to number 4. Also surprised this season made it this high, but it is what it is. At number 4 is season 3. I think season 3 is underrated, which is weird because, again, when I first saw it, I was like, it was all right. But I've thought about it now. It's been like a little over a month now that I've seen it. And honestly, season 3, I've come to the realization season 3 is pretty good. Like, obviously, or else I wouldn't rank it this high. But a lot of this comes down to the fact that I just love Miguel Prado. I love Miguel. Jimmy Smits, I think, actually got nominated for an Emmy. He didn't win. I don't think he did. But he did get nominated for an Emmy. And I just love his character so much. He's one of the most interesting characters in Dexter for me. One of the most unintentionally funny characters of the show. I love Dexter and his relationship throughout the course of the season, the dynamic that they share. I mean, you have the great scene where he's like, you think this is funny? Not at all. They said that stain would come out. they just yell at each other. It's just so good. And it's also very satisfying, though, once Dexter finally kills him, and then he's like, I killed my brother. I killed yours, too. And then, oh, man, he just, like, strangles. Oh, my gosh, it's great stuff. Yeah, I really love season 3. This is also Quinn's first season, which I think's notable. I like Quinn a lot as a character. Also, the stuff with Rita, she's pregnant. Dexter really kind of debating if he wants to have a kid. Very worried that his kid will turn out just like him. Loved all that stuff as well. Also, the first season with Ghost Terry, because we moved from the flashbacks to Dexter now hallucinating him. The only like kind of downside of the season for me was Anton. I really love the actor, David Ramsey. I think that's his name. He was Diggle in Arrow. And really, love that actor, but unfortunately, Anton, his character in this show, wasn't that great. There's also the subplot with Masuka this season where he's like trying to be taken seriously and be professional. And then he finally snaps back, returns to his normal self, and he's like, "Science is one cold-hearted bitch with a 14-inch strap on." It's great. Obviously, Masuka, one of the best characters in the show. And I don't know, I think the season is pretty consistent overall for me. Again, a lot of this comes down to Miguel. Miguel easily the highlight of the season. If he wasn't in the season would be a lot lower, but Miguel, I just love Miguel. Also, it's the only season he's in. Like, he was in a brief cameo, I guess, in Original Sin, but obviously it was a different actor. Jimmy Smith is just fantastic, though. And yeah, I love season 3. It is underrated, honestly. But these top 3 seasons are the definitive best seasons of the show. Some of the best seasons of television I've ever witnessed. I mean, I think a lot of people will agree that these are kind of the show's magnum opus. And some people might not exactly have this exact ranking of the seasons, but the top 3 interchangeable in a way, because I love all of these seasons so much. But at number 3, I have season 1. Great start to the show, great first season, one of the best first seasons of TV I've seen. Obviously, the season that started it all. Just the way this installment unravels. I mean, there's many twists and turns. I love what they do with Rudy. Obviously, we don't know that he's Brian Moser. It's just a great twist. We find out that Dexter has a brother, and that is Brian Moser, and that's Rudy. And I love, it's like a very layered story, because at first we find out Rudy's the ice truck killer, which I love that whole aspect, because I actually didn't like Rudy when he was first introduced. I was like, okay, this guy is annoying. I don't care about him and him and Deb's relationship whatsoever. But then they reveal he's the ice truck killer, and I was like, okay, I'm into it now. And then we find out that Dexter, obviously, yeah, his brother in the shipping container was with him. And we find out he watched his mom get killed in front of him. Like, it's an origin story this season, and we don't even notice that. And I just really like that whole aspect. I think it's very well written, and the emotional scene towards the end of the season, where Dexter has to kill his brother, the only person who really understands him and knows who he is. It's a very sad scene, even though, of course, Brian is a very, psychotic individual. So many memorable moments this season as well. La Pasión, the great scene with Dexter and Rita on the couch when they're watching the sad movie, and then Dexter's like, maybe if I keep my eyes open, I'll start tearing up or whatever he says. Just funny. And Dokes, great character as well. He gets a great memorable line of dialogue in the finale. Surprise! Yeah, we all know what he says after that. But season 1 is just so good. A lot of the characters are at their best this season. I feel like it was just such an interesting season overall, and I really love it. But moving on to number 2, I have season 2. Now, season 1, again, I already liked the show, but season 2 elevated it to another level for me. Maybe you could say season 1 was the season that made me like the show, but season 2 made me love the show and appreciate it on a whole new level. The season just kind of writes itself. I mean, it starts off really solid, where obviously they find out Dexter, they find Dexter's body bags at the bottom of the ocean. And then you have this top tier special agent, Frank Lundy, come onto the scene, which I love Lundy, one of my all-time favorite characters in the show as well, which is why season 2 is ranked so high as well. And he's like, I'm going to find out who the Bay Harbor Butcher is. It looks like Dexter's just totally screwed. Also, episode 9 of this season, one of the best episodes in the show, where the FBI shows up to his apartment. He's taken to the station, and they have the blood slides laid out on the desk. And it's like, Dexter's caught. It's over. But no, it's not. But then Dokes finds out in the same episode that Dexter's the Bay Harbor Butcher. And then he puts Dokes in the cage. And it's just like, what is going on? This season is incredible. Also, the stuff with Lila, which, to be honest, I didn't like her character when she was first introduced. But then you kind of find out how crazy she is, and she kind of becomes a pretty solid antagonist. And she blows Dokes up in the cabin, and it's like, what the hell? And it's just a very satisfying moment once Dexter goes to Paris and kills her. And yeah, season 2 is just fantastic, man. I mean, it really is. I love this season. But why isn't it number 1? Well, that's because at number 1 is season 4. a lot of people's favorite season. A lot of people would pinpoint this as the peak of the show for very good reason. Again, one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen. We got the Trinity Killer, John Lithgow, incredible. He literally won an Emmy for this role. There's just so many great episodes. I mean, episode 4 where we had the death of Frank Lundy. I think that was the episode he dies. Shocking, absolutely shocking, which sucked because I love Lundy. Again, just mentioned how much I loved him. So when he died, I was pissed off. I was like, dang it, no way. And then, like, the last 4 episodes, basically, are incredible. You have the infamous Thanksgiving episode that is just hilarious and also just fantastic. But then, like, episodes 10, 11, 12 just are all so great. They flow so well. The pacing this season's stellar. Hello, Dexter Morgan. It's just like amazing. And obviously it ends with one of the most shocking deaths ever, Rita dying, and it's literally shot like a horror film. Like he just comes in to the bathroom, sees Harrison sitting there in the blood, sees Rita in the bathtub. It's just so dark and sad. I loved Rita as a character. She was really the heart of the show. And when she died, it was like, wow, that's unfortunate. So I don't know, but season 4 is great. I mean, I can't say any more good things about it because it's just fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, but that's just my ranking of the seasons. Let me hear your rankings down in the comments below. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say, where our opinions will differ and stuff like that, because I am a new fan. So it'll be fun to kind of get into the community. I know a lot of people are getting into this show recently, but for that reason, I think it'll be fun to kind of chat with you guys. So yeah, let me hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.